Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame Banquet. A total bummer that we can't all get together here as we normally do at Michael Bus Gym. We're doing it virtually, and of course, we're coming to you on YouTube. First of all, I'd like to thank Justin Ford, who you're going to see has put together a great program for us here tonight. He's the Sports Information Director here at Lower Columbia College, and it's a lot of hard work for Justin to put this all together. So we appreciate you, Justin. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank my assistant, the program director, Tracy Hilligoss, for all her great work, and of course to the LCC Foundation for their incredible support of our Athletic Excellence Fund and our programs. And you out there, our Red Devil Nation, who are just so important to the success that we have. Now tonight we're going to honor 5 Hall of Fame inductees. We're going to interview them all, talk to some of their coaches and their teammates. It's going to be a great time here tonight. We're going to honor Mark Harold, the rebounding machine for the Red Devils in his really 3 years. Not only did he play basketball, but he was so rambunctious he played some soccer and cross country as well. We're going to honor Jim Odell, one of the all-time great hitters in LCC baseball history, and trust me, we've had some great players over the years. Good old Jimmy O. It's going to be great to see him tonight as well. Michelle Cross Lorenz, of course, left this earth way too early. We lost her a few years after she played at Lower Columbia College. She was just a great volleyball player for us, so we're going to meet with her husband and some of her teammates. That's going to be special to remember Michelle, honoring her into the Hall of Fame. We're also going to talk with a couple of players from those great 81 and 82 LCC women's basketball teams. Cindy Christensen, in fact, we're going to hook up with her from down under. She made a career of basketball after her time at LCC and Portland State. And of course, her teammate Kelly Gilman, one of the most talented and just ferocious competitors that we have ever had here at LCC. So this is going to be fun, checking in, honoring our great Hall of Fame inductees of this year.
Hello, I'm Chris Bailey, president of Lower Columbia College. One only needs to look around our athletic facilities, walk by the trophy cases, or see the championship banners in the gym to really get a sense of the talents and hard work of our student athletes and coaches over the years. I would like to recognize the LCC head coaches. Our coaching staff is committed to developing student athletes to their full potential. They model persistence and determination and are deeply committed to the values that promote athletic excellence, game after game, season after season, year after year. They are Joe Chicks, women's soccer; Carrie Smith, women's volleyball; Mickey Polis, men's basketball; Lucas Myers, women's basketball; Eric Lane, baseball; and Tracy Fuller, softball. I would also like to take the time to thank our greater LCC community for the support of our athletic programs and student athletes. Without your support, we could not continue achieving the level of success that we have grown accustomed to. We are the program of champions. Thank you in advance for your support tonight. Simply visit lccreddevils.com to make a donation to keep our athletes in the game. And go Devils!
Well, welcome everybody. It's another Hall of Fame year. I'm the athletic director at Lower Columbia College, Kirk Rowland, and the only bummer about this whole thing is we're doing this virtual this year. It's our virtual Hall of Fame, and we sure wish we could get together. I don't have to belabor why. We're not able to have our big party in February like we do every year, but certainly we're going to move on with honoring folks. And our first segment here is Hall of Famer Kelly Gilman. Kelly played for the Red Devils back in 1980 on the volleyball team, and then on the 80-81 basketball team, and the 81-82 basketball team. And
I guess playing two sports, she figured, well, I better get another one in. She even played tennis during her sophomore year after it was all over. And what an incredible, incredible career that she had here at LCC. So Kelly, congratulations. Welcome to the program here. And congrats. Just what do you think about when you think about your times in Longview at Lower Columbia College?
I have to say they were the best times in my college, my whole college experience. I went on to a state college in California, and it didn't compare to LC because the team and the cohesiveness and just the camaraderie of this particular team was spectacular. And
yeah, well, yeah, you went on to Chico State, and you know, that's always great. That's kind of you know, what we do here is we try to get you on to the next level, and we do that a lot with our athletes, and so that was great. But we also hear about the family atmosphere in Longview, and of course you're very familiar with it. You won state titles at Mark Morris and all that. When you came to LCC, did you know that there was going to be this kind of talent on a 2-year run of a basketball program led by Dan Karnofsky?
I didn't have a clue. I thought, you know, I'm just going to play a couple more years and have fun with it. But playing for Jan, he always pushed, made us want to be a better team, a better person, a better player. It's just, I loved playing for Jan. I mean, there's no hands down, no doubt about it. And my team at LC was so much better than my team at Chico. We had fun at Chico, but you know what? It just didn't compare. And with the 7 or 8 people at LC, we could have cleaned up at Chico. The talent was so good. Everyone was so good, small but mighty.
Oh, boy, that's for sure. And one of those players is Michelle Michelle Roy, who is with us right now. And Michelle is a Hall of Famer here at Lower Columbia as well. She had got that honor a couple of years ago. And Michelle, when you see Kelly Gilman here, I know a smile comes on your face right away. What a teammate, huh?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes, that's for sure, Kirk. Kelly, it is, you know, it's a privilege to be able to congratulate you with this well-deserved honor. It was amazing to be a teammate with you. You were competitive, offensive and defensively. You were all over the floor. Just being out there and knowing you were out there when we were going to battle was comforting, I guess, and a privilege for sure. In my few years of coaching, I remember walking away and saying, I need a Kelly Gilman out here. I don't have a Kelly Gilman on the team. I need a Kelly Gilman. So it was quite an honor for sure. On the flip side, wow, after being off the court, I'm, you know, proud to call you my friend. We have so many good times. Again, we won't go into many of those stories here, but you know, you were a great friend. We had so many good times, both on and off the court. And so again, I want to congratulate you and you know, enjoy this experience, and hopefully we can all come back together soon.
That would be
because
awesome.
we're family. We're family.
We truly are. Even though it's been a few years, we won't say how many.
Well, I don't want to hear about that because I'm ahead of all of you. But Michelle, I remember some games where Kelly would give you anything that you guys needed that day. If maybe you weren't scoring or some of the other players weren't scoring, Kelly could go out and score 26. I think she had 26 against Grays Harbor one game. And then when you were on fire or somebody else had the hot hand, Kelly'd go, that's fine. I'll just set the school record with 12 steals and have 15 rebounds or something. Is that what you remember about Kelly on the floor?
I do. That's what I meant. It's, you know, offensively or defensively, if we were going to battle, I was sure happy she was out there on the court with us because you knew she would get the job done. Very competitive.
For sure.
Yeah. And talented. Don't let me forget talented.
Oh, yeah. But, that goes without saying. Kelly, what do you remember about Michelle the most?
Oh, geez.
Same thing. She could do anything. And for a tall girl, she could dribble the ball. I was always so tall. You know, you could feed Michelle anywhere, anyway, anyhow, and she'd get the ball to the bucket. And she was really even killed. And, you know, I had a little of a temper. I don't know if you ever remember that, but you know, it's just I needed that balance, and it just worked.
Yeah.
And we just all worked well together. And Michelle had her role. She was kind of the leader out there. Okay, you go here, here, here. And I knew the same thing, Michelle. I knew you would get it done too. The whole team, we knew we could count on each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really
Well,
depended.
you know, you were talking about, Kelly, you've said this a few times. You go, well, we were kind of short. Well, you had one tall person, and that's Tawny Shannon. And Tawny Shannon Hatfield, and she's with us now as well. And Tawny, what can you say about Kelly?
Oh, no. Tawny, I can't hear you.
Tawny's a teacher over computers, and she still didn't unmute herself. Come on now.
Okay, I'm not perfect, I'll admit it. Yeah, now I lost my train of thought. But yes, I wish we were all together, and I'm going to say the number. It has been 40-ish years since I've seen Kelly in person. We've been able to get together, some of the rest of us, and if she was here, if we were here together, I would give you a great big hug, Kelly. And 40 years sounds, okay, I'll end that one. But I want to say that Kelly was a strong player, both mentally and physically. And she was fast, she was smart, and like Kirk said, she could anticipate what was going to happen. And putting that all together, my biggest joy and admiration, Kelly, as your teammate, was watching you come out of nowhere and intercept that ball for our team over and over. It was just a joy to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, just totally skilled. And yeah, I'm just in awe of what she could accomplish. And, you know, as mentioned, you know, we worked really hard as a team under Jan and Lita, and we had that genuine fun on the court, off the court. We took classes together, and I think Jan referred to us recently as we were reminiscing as some shenanigans that he didn't always know about what we did, but we just had a ball. And again, those were my favorite 2 years of college, was at LCC with our group. So thank you, Jan, for bringing us together.
Well, let's bring Jan in then. Jan, unmute yourself, and you know, you have a chance to talk a little bit, not only about this great team, but this great player in Kelly Gilman. What are you saying now that she's going in the hall?
Yeah, it is a great honor for Kelly, well-deserved honor. And I've been coaching over 35 years now. I'm still coaching because I love it. But going back to several teams that have just been fantastic with the personnel I've had on it, but nothing compares to that group this with Kelly and Michelle and Tawny and Darlene, that whole group, a fantastic team. You don't have very often where 6 players were in double figure scoring for the year, and that just doesn't happen very often. And Kelly is one of the leaders. The things I remember about Kelly most, I mean, other than being just a great teammate and a great athlete, like I said, she played in championship volleyball teams at Mort Morris, played volleyball at LCC, had very good teams there. But on the basketball court, she was an excellent scorer, an excellent rebounder, an excellent teammate. It was good at assists for a forward position. But the thing I remember most was her ability to steal the ball. We pressed constantly at LCC when they were playing because we had the players to do so. but she held the record for 1 year total of steals for LCC and the career total for steals at LCC. And I don't know if that record still holds true, but I can't imagine too many people beating it. But a fantastic ball player. And like Tawny mentioned, we've gotten together as a team personally, and then the COVID thing, we've got together with some the Zoom as we're doing right now. But we've always managed to stay together. But that team was the most close-knit group I've ever coached. Probably like 30 or 40 teams that I have had. They're definitely the most close-knit. And Kelly was one of the instrumental leaders for that group.
Well, Kelly, what do you have to say to your old coach here now that you've got him?
I can't say enough about Jan. He scared me to death when we first got on the court. And the first game, he scared me to death, the way he was yelling at the refs. And he comes in the locker room and says, "Okay, guys, we need work on a couple things." And I was like, oh my gosh. I wanted to work so hard for Jan because he was out there working hard for us. He was running the court with us. And he made me always want to be a better player. And it was just, I learned so much, stop on 2 feet, fill the lanes, don't pick up your dribble. I mean, he drilled those things into our head. And to this day, those are what I hear Jan yelling at us. And I just can't tell you, he's the one that made us all a better player. So thank you.
Well, that's why he's in the Hall of Fame here at Lower Columbia as well, because
as well deserved, yeah.
Those early teams of his were so good, but he just continued, that success in his, decade long as the coach here at LCC. Now I've got, 4 of you here, and I've got to ask you because I know I witnessed it, but I've never really talked to any of you folks about this incredible game against Wenatchee and the third place NWAC game over there. And Kelly, do you remember the name Kathy Laverne at all? Do you remember that name?
I don't.
Okay. Well, she was the star player for that Wenatchee team, and you almost killed her. I'm pretty sure you guys came close to throwing, and my bet's on you. You remember what I'm talking about?
Well, I knew there were a couple close calls that even involved our fathers, Tawny and my father. I remember Jan in the half times and don't ever start a fight, but if they start it, you finish it. So I was willing to do that. And so I tried, I don't remember ever coming to blows, but I know it was a physical and very tense game. So. Yeah,
with terrible refereeing. And Jan, I think you got into it with the public address announcer. And if I'm trying to remember it right, I think even the Wenatchee fans were stealing our mascot.
Yeah, that's when our fathers got involved. Is in the middle of the game, and I look up, and my dad, who was a very imposing man, and Tawny's dad was even taller than my dad, were walking across the court with chairs in their hands. And we're like, what the heck is going on? It's because they came over and took our mascot. My God, our fathers were going to get her back.
And so, Jan, you remember that was against Jim Sollers, wasn't it? The longtime great coach. And, what's your recollection of that whole game that pretty much culminated this great run of this team?
I remember it vividly. It was, like Kelly said, a hard-fought game, intense, and Wenatchee Valley had great support from their fans at the game. The guys that went to college there were very vocal. They stole our cheerleader, our mascot, and our mascot was kind of scared to death because she was a little person, and they carried her off. And then that's when the parents got into it, heading over to the gym. They had to call time in the game, and it was just it looked like a mini brawl was about ready to break out. But it will be forever embedded in my mind. You said something about the scorekeeper. It was a person who was sitting right by our bench, and he was trying to coach our team. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. That you guys should do this. And Trace, I think, wait a minute, tried to get the people to stop the game and have him be replaced because we didn't need him to be coaching our team. But I remember saying to one of the girls that was usually I never say anything to the opposing players on the court, but this one girl was getting mixed up with Kelly, and I said, "Hey, girl, you picked the wrong girl to mix it up with," knowing that Kelly was very, very strong, very tough ball player, and that she was mixing with the wrong girl.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was, one of my first tournaments as a broadcaster coming back from college, and I'm going, man, this is what it's about here, women's basketball. And, really that's why it's such a special team is that, I don't think people were too sold on women's basketball at that time. It was, you guys were, I don't want to say you're pioneers because they had been playing it, but where it was a legitimate sport where, the school actually supported it. I think you guys were the first kind of super team that just said, hey, we're good and you're going to enjoy watching us play. And I think that's what you guys all did. And of course, Kelly, you were one of the leaders there. Just a lot of great memories with you and this bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to be meeting another teammate in a while here. Cindy Christensen is going in the Hall of Fame. We'll have some of you folks back for that segment here tonight. And of course, kind of a same deal. What an incredible athlete and person. But I'm just so proud of you guys for being a part of this. I guess this would be the time now where you get your parting shot to Kelly to try to let her know how important she is as a member of our Hall of Famer. And Jan, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay, again, Kelly, congratulations on a fabulous career at LCC and going on to school at Chico State down in California. A very instrumental part of our team, will never be forgotten. And she is definitely, because of this award she's receiving, will be forever remembered at Lower Columbia College. And what a great programs that the college does have in all sports, guys and the girls.
And Michelle, you now join her in the club.
Yeah. Again, Kelly, congratulations. This is so deserved, for you. You're a competitor, but most importantly, you're just a great person. I feel honored to have gotten to play with you.
That's great. And Tawny, I know you've been not only a great teammate and an excellent player yourself, you've been real instrumental in keeping this bunch all together, and that's pretty cool. What do you got to say in parting with Kelly?
Hey, this is making me a little bit emotional, but I just want to say thanks for the memories, Kelly.
Oh, thank you, Tawny.
Yeah, and congratulations.
All right. Well, Kelly Gilman, the numbers are clear at LCC, all-region player, all-league player. I think that at one time you were characterized by one coach, you're mean, you're a bully, you're an enforcer, you have great anticipation, and from where I come from, that's a compliment. That's a big-time compliment. Just really one of the great overall athletes all time at Lower Columbia College. So it is my honor. I wish I could hand this to you, but this is your keepsake that you will be able to, we'll make sure we get it to you, and you can put it right on your desk there, and hopefully you will smile each time you see that, as you are the latest inductee into the Red Devils Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
I couldn't have done it without all of you. Honestly, it's such an honor. Truly it is. And I'm just speechless. So thank you. Thank you, Roland and Jan and Tawny. Thank you, Tawny, so much for getting us together these last few months. And Michelle, it's just been so nice reconnecting with everybody. So I will be there in person when we can be in person. I promise.
Outstanding. Well, Kelly, there you go. You're in the Hall of Fame. So, hey, don't be a stranger. And hopefully you can, be a part of it in some future ones, so we can actually give each other a hug and move forward. So thank you so much. Kelly Gilman, Red Devil Hall of Famer.
Thank you.
Nice job, Kelly.
Hello everyone, I am Carson Zaragoza. I grew up in Boise, Idaho, and I attended Boise High School. Currently I am a sophomore here at LCC, playing volleyball and softball, and studying to get my associate's degree in psychology. I will graduate from Lower Columbia College in the spring. To start off my speech, I would like to say thank you for your support you have given to Lower Columbia's athletic program and all the athletes. We appreciate all the opportunities to continue playing the sports we love while receiving an excellent education. I have always dreamed of playing sports in college, but being a multi-sport athlete and choosing one was difficult. I played soccer, I've swam, I played basketball, volleyball, tennis, and softball. My passion and skills eventually led me to specialize in volleyball and softball. Managing the two sports with club and high school was very difficult. I had to plan ahead and communicate with my coaches for conflicts, sacrifice time with friends and family, manage my time efficiently between practices, games, and homework. My sophomore year, after completing a varsity high school softball practice, I attended club volleyball practice. My volleyball coach pulled me aside and said, "You know, you need to choose between volleyball and softball soon. I think you should choose volleyball." I wasn't ready to make that choice yet. I truly loved the two sports and having the different learning and social experiences both offered. In the college search and recruit process, I visited many schools for either volleyball and softball, thinking the best opportunity would help to decide where I will attend school and which sport to play. My passion was still with both sports. I couldn't choose. At every visit, I would ask, "What do you think about multi-sport athletes?" The responses usually were, "We prefer single-sport athletes." We've had some in the past, but it wasn't successful. When I attended a volleyball recruit trip at Lower Columbia College and asked the same question, "What do you think about multi-sport athletes?" The response was finally different. They asked, "What sport do you play? Would you like us to set up a meeting with the softball staff?" The next day, talking with Kirk, he praised multi-sport athletes, discussing their merits of being hardworking and the best students. Lower Columbia College caught my eye right away. The campus is beautiful with all the trees, scroll bridges, and amazing buildings. The athletic staff was friendly and made me feel at home. When my mom and I were walking around the fitness center with Kirk, he quoted one of LCC's famous sayings, "Once a devil, always a devil." My high school had a very similar saying. It is, "Brave to the grave." My heart felt full, knowing that if you came here, just like my high school, you were going to be remembered and always loved. The athletic staff cares about their athletes like they were their own family. Josh and Carrie Smith, my volleyball coaches, call us their devil daughters. We are their family and they will do anything for us. I feel the same with my softball coaches, Dave and Tracy. Having this at-home feel, I knew I could travel and live happily 7 hours away from my family. Along with that, I'm very appreciative for the housing for the student athletes. That was another factor in choosing LCC from other schools. My family and I felt housing would give me a true college experience and was helpful since searching for an apartment was very difficult in Idaho, or from Idaho, sorry. I have been blessed to be able to live in student housing for 2 years. Lower Columbia has allowed me to follow my passion, fulfill my dreams, and do so in a supportive environment. I am so thankful for the opportunity to play both sports and receiving a scholarship in each. Thank you so much.
Well, our next inductee for the Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame, unfortunately, is a posthumous honor, but it's a great honor for sure, and that is Michelle Cross. Michelle Cross Lawrence. She was a Red Devil in the mid-'80s and an outstanding volleyball player. Of course, Michelle had an illustrious career at Castle Rock, had a great team there at Castle Rock. They went to state. I think they won the Cowlitz League or Trico or whatever it was called back in those days, and had an outstanding team that was 21-4. So you know that Coach Solon was ready to recruit her and get her to lead the Red Devils, and boy, did she. Michelle, in her first year as a freshman, well, let's be honest, they struggled a little bit. The Red Devils that year, I think their record was 2-10, but as we see in a lot of our teams at Lower Columbia College, the maturation between freshman and sophomore is immense. And the Red Devils in her sophomore year were 10-2 and made it to the NWAC championship tournament. So that's outstanding. And Michelle was one of the leaders of that team. I'd like to welcome Darcy Davis. Darcy is Michelle's sister, and Darcy, welcome to our show here. You know, I know it tugs on your heartstrings a little bit, and I'm sure there's not many days, if any, where you don't think about your sister. Just talk a little bit about Michelle and, you know, what she means to you and what perhaps her time at Lower Columbia College meant to her.
Well, she was my big sister, so that was huge. You know, she kind of paved the way for me everywhere I went. She was full of life. She was just a fun, outgoing, goofy person, you know, and sometimes very serious at the same point in time. She took her volleyball very seriously, and she loved it. You know, that's one of the things at home. I didn't play, but my younger sister Heather did play, and so the two of them would play quite regularly. Michelle would be out on the patio spiking the ball against the concrete wall on a very regular basis.
Right.
She loved her time at LCC. She loved playing volleyball and the connections that she made with the girls that she played with. And, you know, she played club ball also, so she has a very long history in the volleyball world and continued on with Rick after she graduated. So it was a big part of who she was, and she loved it. Yeah,
well, her husband Rick is with us on the call here now, and of course, she married a volleyball coach, was involved in coaching with Rick. And Rick, it's great to have you with us as well. If you could unmute your mic there. And kind of like Darcy, I know that you never really completely are able to deal with the loss of someone who was just 29 years of age when she passed away. And kind of the world got cheated, didn't they?
Yeah, it was very sudden and unexpected. And yeah, we had 8.5 great years together married. And she, like Darcy said, she was full of life, real peppy. I used to ref, she played for college volleyball club when she was in high school. And I remember I was reffing, coaching for Rose City in Portland, and I would ref, and she was the captain for Bill Marshall's team there in college volleyball club. And she would question a call, and I'd call her over and I'd say, what's your problem, Michelle? I knew her name because pretty much she was an outstanding player. So we always voted her for all league teams and stuff. And we got to know each other pretty well as umpire and her as a player, because she was pretty feisty and really competitive. And of course, we had a really tight-knit group of coaches and teams that we played every year, all the way from fifth and sixth grade up, so we knew the athletes. And when she got to LCC, I got to see her play, probably a half a dozen times in tournament. But boy, I tell you, when she passed away, it'll be 25 years in a week. And the boys were 8 and 5, James and Luke. And yeah, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't miss her a lot. But she was a fine athlete. She ended up coaching after she left LCC and she went to Eastern Washington, which didn't work out for her, she came back and I said, well, why don't you come on down to Portland and coach with me? I need a younger team coach. And she did, and she was with us in club for about 3 or 4 years. And then she was at Central Catholic High School coaching my JV team. And then she complained that we weren't spending enough time together. I said, okay, Michelle, and you're going to be my varsity assistant, and then we'll spend a little bit more time together.
Right.
And that worked out really well. So, yeah, at the time that she passed away, we were in the club season, and she was coaching. So, very competitive, very outstanding, creative woman. She played and competed in classical music, played the piano. Was a great mother, really a good social people person, and miss her dearly, but God's got a pretty good setter up there in heaven.
Outstanding. How are the boys doing? I know they're probably going to watch this presentation and be very proud of their mom. How they doing?
Well, Jamie is 33. He's down in Mesa, Arizona at this point. He's an outstanding cook, and he does a lot of youth coaching. He isn't married yet. And my second son, Luke, is 30, and he works at Oswego Lake Country Club. He's a scratch golfer. And both of them played high school sports at Central Catholic High School in Portland. Jamie was the MVP of the track team for 2 years, and Luke played varsity basketball and was on the golf team. And so they both have done very well, and I'm very proud of them. And I see them, well, now I see Jamie more by Zoom, but I golf with Luke, try to golf with Luke once every 2 weeks. So, and I don't bet or anything because he kicks my tail. So
that's right. Well, hey, good genes for sure with those kids. And young man, I hope you're proud of your mom. You know, at LCC, I talked about the team kind of going from the basement to the league title and the NWAC tournament, and some great teammates. And we've got a couple of them with us right now. And I guess, Michelle Murray, I'll start with you. And Michelle, of course, in the LCC Hall of Fame herself. And Michelle, what are your great recollections of those Red Devil volleyball teams and of Michelle?
Well, again, great connections, great people, and enjoyed playing with Michelle. She brought a whole nother level. She brought our team to a whole nother level. We were so lucky to have her actually just be with us. She made us better. And actually, I felt bad whenever I had a bad pass because she would leave her skin on the floor and we'd always be like, I'm so sorry. She always gave it all. And I learned so much just playing with her because she has an immense amount of volleyball knowledge and she just had a high level of volleyball IQ. And I came in just as a multi-sport athlete, not being able to dedicate all my time just to volleyball. And so it was a blessing. Like, our team was so excited to have a new phenomenal setter. And yeah, she was amazing. And she made us better. I mean, one of the great talents to go through LCC as a volleyball player.
That's great. And of course, the Parker twins were out there, Kelly and Carrie, and we've got Carrie Parker, Carrie Skirbeck. And
Yeah.
Carrie, what's your good reminisce about the teams and about Michelle?
You know, I mean, you guys pretty much said it all. She just, you know, from Michelle's and I perspective, probably, and we probably agree on this, we were kind of a tight-knit group that had played through high school too. We had Coach Craig as our coach, and then going to the LC situation, we kind of had to like destructure our little tight-knit group. And I think that's probably why our first year wasn't as stellar of a year. And we, of course, our second year, I think we were able to bond even more with this team. And I think that Michelle was right. She brought she brought like not only skill and knowledge and and experience to the team, but she also brought like an elegance. I remember her just being so graceful, whereas like we're just, you know, like Michelle said, we were multi sport athletes. We never really got that finesse that I think that Michelle brought to the team. So she, like, not only was she a phenomenal setter, I give her that, but she was also a really good, well-rounded player. There wasn't a skill that she didn't excel at. And I think that's what I took away from it is like, I think, you know, just by her being who she was, she kind of led by example. And she on our team, I think, expected everybody to be better, and by her expectation of playing better, we got better. So props to her. There's nobody more deserving of this award. I think she really she just elevated everything. So
that's awesome. You don't hear the word elegance very often when you're talking about a teammate, and well, I'll tell you what. That's awesome. I mean, a great description both by Michelle Murray and Carrie Parker Skirbeck. And I know Coach Solom was hoping to get on the Zoom call. He said, I don't know, I'm maybe going to need a tutorial. So it doesn't look like he's going to be on it, but I'm sure he was awfully proud to not only see, well, just to have such a great player kind of lead you guys. And that is awesome to see. Coach Rick, that a good description, you think? The elegant part?
Yeah, I think that's a really good description. And I think Michelle would be really proud to hear that. She always prided herself at being real classy and dealing with people really, really well. And when I first found out, Kirk, that she was going to be inducted into the LCC Hall of Fame, I was just elated, and so were my boys. And I really thank you and Justin and the whole committee there at LCC for doing this, because it's a great honor, and everything that her teammates said was true. And just classy gal. That's how a lot of people, parents of the girls we coached, would say, yeah, your wife's really a classy gal. The way she dressed, the way she handled herself. And I want to tell you, we're both fire signs. We were both born in April. We're both Aries. And, you know, the sparks could fly, I could tell you that. So, and I didn't usually win most of the arguments. I want you to know that. So, yeah, I like I said, thank you so much for this great honor, and I know she's up there smiling.
That's awesome. Well, Darcy, you were around it all. Of course, your sister Heather went over to Idaho and was a great volleyball player there as well. And of course, your sister Michelle, as we have found out here today, also very, very special. And so it's my honor, Darcy and Rick, on behalf of Michelle Cross Lorenz, to put her in the LCC Red Devil Hall of Fame. And we will be sending this off to you. And, you know, not only are we sad that, you know, Michelle's not with us now to, you know, accept this honor, but also the fact that we're having to do this all virtually this year because of the pandemic. But there's no diminishing the honor. Darcy, just a parting words or something for your sister?
Well, she was one class act, as everybody said. I mean, the way she held herself and presented herself, and her passion for her sport, her passion for music, her passion for people. She was just a caring, loving person. So she's missed.
She is. So Michelle Cross Lorenz, always remembered, but now never forgotten as a member of the Lower Columbia Athletics Hall of Fame.
Hi, I'm Kendra Sprague. Vice President of Lower Columbia College. Many of you have had a significant role in helping shape and sustain LCC's tradition of excellence, either on the court as athletes or in the stands as boosters and community partners. Thank you. The LCC Foundation is committed to helping sustain successful and competitive athletic programs by raising $100,000 each year for the Athletic Excellence Fund. This fund was created to provide the necessary funding for athletic scholarships and program support. Athletic scholarships are vital to keeping our student athletes in the game. All proceeds raised from this celebration go directly to the Athletic Excellence Fund, supporting athletic scholarships and program support. It is our hope that you will be inspired and feel led to make a donation in support of athletic programs at Lower Columbia College. Simply visit lccreddevils.com. Thanks to each of you for being part of this celebration of athletic excellence, and go Red Devils.
Well, I hope everybody's having fun here tonight. This LCC Hall of Fame night has just been great so far. And we've got another outstanding guest, another Hall of Famer that's coming into the LCC Hall of Fame. And it's Cindy Christensen. Cindy Christensen, mascot now. And Cindy comes to us from Australia. And when we're recording this, it's evening here, which means it's morning the next day. So Cindy's a time traveler, and here she is with us here. Cindy, congratulations. How you doing?
Thank you very much. It's such a great honor. I was fortunate to be able to play with some great players as well as a great coach.
Outstanding, and I think we're still waiting for Jan Karnofsky to join in. I know.
No,
Jan,
I think he's done.
Oh, there he is. He finally made it here. That's great. So, Cindy, first of all, if you could tell the fans, you went on and kind of made a living in basketball for a while there. If you could tell the fans a little bit after your time in the States playing basketball, what you did when you went down under.
Well, after LCC, I got a scholarship to Portland State. I played there for 2 years, and when I finished there, I thought, go back to Longview and see what it's got to offer. I got a call up, or I should say my mother got a call up from an agent in Portland asking what my plans were, if I was going anywhere or doing anything. And my mother obviously said no, she's just in Longview. I remember the night because she called, I think they must have called about 8 o'clock at night, and she rang everybody in Longview to see if they could find me because I was going to become a professional basketballer is what she said. And anyway, make a long story short, yeah, I got the opportunity to go. I was over in Sweden for 4 months. And while I was there, the fella that for the same team that I played for had his agent and my agent were the same. He came over here. Scott came over here to play with our NBL, our kind of like the NBA, but not even close to it. And they asked Scott if he knew of anybody that would be interested to come to Australia. So they got in contact with my agent, which Gary was his name. Yeah, and Gary rang me, and then I got a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning it was early Sunday morning, said, "Would you like to come to Australia?" I went, "Oh." Yeah, so that's basically, I came out here for 6 months. We had a pretty good season. I met a fella, got engaged 2 days before I came back, was due to return to America. And then, and then I came back here and been playing pretty much off and on ever since.
A long career as a player and a coach in Australia, and it's awesome. You kind of made a living out of it, and that's
yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, over here, it's not like in the States. You don't make a lot of money, but it's all the experience and just finding new players and being able to be part of their lives and their growth in the sport. I've been lucky enough. I don't know if you guys know much about Australian players, but Lauren Jackson, I played against when she was only a 16-year-old. Penny Taylor, Susie Baktovics from Newcastle, Ben Simmons was here till he was 12. So it's been a great little community. We've had some really good athletes come out of here.
Boy, no kidding.
And now with especially now, obviously back in our day, we didn't have the WNBA or anything. So if you wanted to go anywhere, you had to go overseas. Yeah. And if you were lucky enough, which I was very lucky.
Well, you made it a long career in basketball, and you made a nice life for yourself over there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, Coach Karnofsky's with us now. And Jan, did you know that this could be a long professional career for Cindy when she was doing her thing for you and the Red Devils back in the day?
Oh, when we recruited her from RA Long, and I think Cindy will have to admit this, I think she started playing basketball at a later stage in her career in high school. And I've watched several of RA Long's games, and this Cindy Christensen, pretty good player, had possibilities. We got her to come to LCC and play ball. And I think between Tawny and Cindy, they kind of shared the post position. In fact, I think Tawny started most of the games their first year, and Cindy just kept improving and improving and improving. And you've heard the sports enthusiasts talked about people who have a motor that never stops. Well, that was Cindy Christensen. She's 6 feet tall, had a motor that just would not quit. A great rebounder, extremely quick for a girl that's 6 feet tall. Needed to work on her offensive skills, but a great rebounder. She owned the boards. She was so quick, so fast. That first year, she improved tremendously. The second year, like I said, she and Tawny kind of traded off on the center position. Then a lot of times I'd play them both at the same time, I called them the tall timbers, and we'd go into some kind of a zone where we had Michelle out front, who was 5'11", and Kelly and Connie and Cindy in the background, and it was tough to penetrate our defense, but she really improved step by step by step. And I was not surprised, but when she went to Portland State, I said, that's fantastic. Then we went down to the Far West Classic in Portland to watch her play in the afternoon game. Some of our girls on the LCC team, I think some of the went down, watched her play, just same things, all over the court, getting rebounds, getting the bucket here or there, but just was a tremendous competitor. And not that I was surprised that she went over there, but like she was very lucky. She said to this guy, to this guy, and this happened and that happened. And she went over, met her husband. Everything worked out perfectly for her. I know I was coaching RA Long back in the mid-'90s too, and this group of girls got together, came over and kind of scrimmaged to show them the girls some of the stuff. And I could not believe how good this group of girls were. They were just fantastic to see how fast they were, how strong they were, how they played together, how they passed. And my girls that I was coaching, they went, wow, now I know the difference between a real good team and a fantastic team. And they said, well, we got a lot of work to do. And I think from that point on, the girls had a different attitude. My girls that are along, they learned a lot. And I can remember Cindy saying that she had just bought a brand new pair of boots. I said, what are you talking about boots? Oh, that's what we call basketball shoes over in Australia. And another thing, I think all the girls mentioned it too, that her accent was truly now Australian accent. Everybody loved it.
That's great. Air boots. Yeah. So Cindy, in 80-81, you were a starter on that team that went 25-4, 14-1 in league. And of course, took third in that in Wenatchee there. And you that year set the school record for field goals in one season. 201 made baskets that year. And then the next year, the team goes 22-8, 11-1. You took fourth that year. You were named to the All-Tournament, averaging 16.2 points and 9 rebounds per game. So the numbers are there, and it's amazing. And another person that got a front row seat to watch it is a fellow Hall of Famer here. That's Lita Meyer, and she is with us right now. And Coach Meyer, so many talented players on that team, and I know Jan, Lita was the person that kind of fired these folks up. Lita, talk about Cindy a little bit and just how good she was.
Yes, well, having played at Lower Columbia, I'm not, I was there in the mid-'70s, and so watching watching the game progress in the 5 or 6 years since I had played there, and having this team with Cindy and Tawny and Michelle and everyone on it, they were just really, really good athletes. And, you know, echoing what Jan said about how hard workers that they were, but the thing that I really noticed was how close they were, how much they loved each other. And I think that really propelled them and pushed them in practice to be better. And when the games were tough, you could see that they just depended on each other, and they just knew that they were going to do it. And Cindy was a focal point of that because, you know, I coached during volleyball at LCC, and it was the same way. You know, if we needed something big to happen at the net, Cindy was there to do it. And it's just very inspirational for me, and looking back, and how really good these ladies were when things got, you know, Title IX got going, and really basketball at LCC, women's basketball, really took off with Jan as the coach. So great memories, absolutely great memories of Cindy.
Oh, yeah, she was so good. You guys were just so good. I mean, it was just the competitive nature of you guys were outstanding. And Carla Sen Spromberg is with us now, a teammate on this team. And Carla, again, to be able to be a teammate of Cindy and be on part of that team had to be quite special for you.
It was quite an honor.
And a roommate.
Yes, we were roommates for a year during LCC, so it was fun. And
yeah, it was really
and I played with Cindy at RA Long too, and I remember her coming in as a sophomore. Heard about this girl moving from California, and she's 6 foot tall, and Mike Noah says, well, I want her on the team, and she never played basketball before, so it was a lot of fun. And LCC was something I'll never forget, and we were so close, and we were always there for each other. And it's, you know, when Cindy's in town, we all get together and we have a great time. It's like, you know, we were never apart.
So being a roommate, not only a teammate, but a roommate of Cindy, how was that? Were you the perfect wing person for her?
Oh, sure. I think our apartment was where everybody congregated, and that's where all the parties happen.
And a bit of schooling went on because all the other girls except Carla and myself were doing anatomy and physiology. So they all decided to bring their cats and dissect them in our kitchen table.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well,
we were very close.
That's something interesting we didn't know before here today. That's great. Well, another outstanding teammate, and of course a Hall of Famer at LCC herself is Michelle Roy, who's also with us. And Michelle, glad to have you with us. And what's your favorite stories or recollections of Cindy?
Well, I've got a lot of stories about all these girls, but I just want to highlight the fact that, you know, I went to Jan's camps at LCC in high school and was familiar with a lot of the players that came to LCC, but Cindy was not one of them. And I just remember, it seemed like day after day she would just get better, and she was a force for us. And I just think she has a really great story to tell. And I had the opportunity to go over and spend some time with her in Australia. But I remember I was at Gonzaga and she was at Portland State, and she came to play at Eastern. And I remember driving, it was a snowstorm, and watching her play at Eastern. And I was like sitting in the stands like, she's still getting better. She's just a great player and a force, and a wonderful teammate, as you all were. And just so glad I could experience your story with you, Cindy.
Oh, that's great.
Amazing.
So have there been other teammates, Cindy, that have made the trip down under for a little holiday down there?
No, not really. Actually, Michelle's brother actually lives in Sydney, isn't it? Yeah. And one night I was playing in the Monday night comp, and I was running up and down the court, and I seen him walk in the door, and I'm thinking, boy, he looks familiar. And then I'm thinking, no, that can't be Michelle's brother. So I went up to him, and yeah, because he'd come over and played a couple years in the men's in NBL, and he liked it, and he stayed. But other than that, yeah, no. A lot of people say they're coming, right, Lita?
Well, Lita's retired now, so she's got no excuse. Let's go.
So no, there's been, yeah. I would like to. Doors always open. It's a beautiful place.
That's awesome.
And at the moment, it's a great spot to be.
All right. Well, another teammate of yours, Tawny Shanning, Hatfield. And Tawny, Jan was talking about the Twin Towers out there. Did you guys get a lot of time together, having, you know, two tall players playing together at the same time?
You know, I can't remember how much time we had. I know we tag teamed, and yeah, I can't remember exactly how much, but what I do remember is how easygoing Cindy's attitude always was and is, and she's the one that would say, hey, whatever floats your boat. Fun, down to earth, and humble. And if it's okay, I'll say a little bit more about her, but we're separated by a lot of miles with her in Australia, but I feel a close bonding to her, and we stay in touch, and she's a great person, a wonderful friend, and obviously a long-standing good steward to the game of basketball. And, you know, when I thought about good steward, I thought, you know, I should probably look that up. And so I Googled it. And by the way, Cindy taught me the phrase, yeah, ask Dr. Google. So I asked Dr. Google about the meaning of a good steward, and the definition just blew me away. So I'm going to read it to everyone. Good stewards are team players. They're quick to give others credit. They work together to reach goals. Good stewards believe in communication and being transparent. They gladly seek advice and feedback from their stakeholders. And good stewards always acknowledge and thank the master they serve. And my take on master they serve would be our coaches, Jan and Lita. And my take on the stakeholders would be us teammates. And I just found that quite apropos for our Cindy today.
That's awesome, man. Thank you, Tawny. Cindy, what do you say about that? Right? That's pretty. It's quite a compliment.
It is. But in saying that, like Tawny said, with Jan and his expertise in putting us all together, I was just going through some old records and that, and I found a letter that Jan actually sent to me when I was at RA Long, and it said that I would like you to come to LCC. I can see the potential's there, and I'd like to really work with you so you can meet your full potential. And I look back on that today, and I'm 100% sure I would not have gone as far as I've gone if it wasn't for Jan and the team. Because like Tony said, we played for each other and Jan. There was just so much respect for everybody and anybody. I've been involved the last whatever years over here, and I really have not seen that sense in the team. We didn't play for ourselves, we played for each other and Jan. And along the way, we were just so lucky. We just all got along. And like I said, I have not come across that at all. I mean, we were just so lucky to have each other, I feel. And that just proves on the court what we done. And in saying that too, with all of the support and the I guess, what do you call them? We call them sponsors, fans. It was just so much support everywhere you went. You know, the crowds were always packed, and you know, you'd walk through the halls and people would ask, oh, so you play on the weekend, or how did you go on the weekend? You know, it was just great. I really feel that if I had gone anywhere else, I would not have got to where I am today.
Well, Cindy,
and it was those 2 years.
That spirit is still here at Lower Columbia.
Oh, that's great to hear.
I'm very happy to say, and
yeah,
you know, that's why, you know, we're honoring people like you here, and you know, we're always looking for the support, so you know, I'm sure people will hear your story and try to help us with our scholarships. We're always trying to raise money for scholarships. We usually get great support when we have our big banquet at the gym, and as Lita can tell you, and Michelle can tell you, we put on a pretty good party there virtually this year, but that's outstanding. And Jan, Lita, what I mean, what do you say when you get a compliment like that? That's gotta touch your heart a little bit.
Well, coaching players like that makes coaching easy because they bought in, they listen, they want it. And, you know, having the opportunity to coach with Jan, I learned so much from him and went on to my coaching career. And just echoing everything that's been said. That's exactly how I feel about my experience at LCC.
That's awesome. Coach Karnofsky, what do you think? This, again and again, you're getting, you know, more of the players that you played with into the Hall of Fame to join you. What's your parting comment here for Cindy?
This is just a festive occasion with the girls that have already gone into the Hall of Fame and now Cindy going into the Hall of Fame. Like you said, every girl on that team deserves to be in the Hall of Fame at LCC. And I know that's virtually impossible, but everybody keeps talking about how close-knit they were, which is true. Like I said, and Lita and I both felt the same way, that we were included that close-knit. We didn't know half the stuff they were doing behind our backs, but and they had a bunch of fun doing it. Whatever they were doing, they were having fun. And some of them, Lita and I were not privy to that, but what a group of teammates. And Tawny, I'm still coaching at Ari Long, the girls, and I'm going to have them look up the definition of steward and try to embed that in their minds. What a fantastic way to describe our team, and that's exactly what it was. But I want to congratulate Cindy. She was one of my favorite players because the improvement was so good. All the girls improved, but like I said, Cindy kind of came out of, like Carla said, sophomore. She never played basketball before. Junior, she got a little bit better. Senior, hey, we want you to come to LCC. I think we can work with you. And I hope she comes. And she came, and the improvement, like Michelle said, year after year after year, just kept improving. It's just fantastic to have her on the team.
Well, we barely even touched on Cindy's volleyball career at Lower Columbia College as well, because she was really solid at that as well. But Cindy, we're just so pleased that we could meet with you via the Zoom here, and we're pleased to put you in. It's very clear with the numbers that I said earlier, and the fact that, as Tawny said, you became a steward of basketball. Darn near 30 years, 28 years as a player, and of course became the head coach of the Newcastle Hunters in the ABL, and we're so proud of you. And that is why it's my pleasure. I've got your crystal here, and we're going to send it to you. We wish we could hand it to you right now, but you're in the hall, and you deserve it. The latest person in the LCC Hall of Fame. So I guess last comment to you.
I would just like to thank everyone for this incredible recognition. It's a great honor, but like I said before, it's not something I've done on my own. It's something that I feel was a team effort, and with the great coaches we had, and with the great teammates I had. I loved every minute of them, and I love all the girls. And I just like to say thank you very much.
Tawny?
Oh, sorry.
And may I end with something that our former President Barack Obama wrote to our newly elected President Joe Biden on Inauguration Day. He wrote to him, "Congratulations to my friend. This is your time." Congratulations, Cindy.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone, for being a part of this.
Well, I hope we're all having fun here tonight. Now, LCC Foundation board members have worked awfully hard to help us raise some money here tonight as we honor our Hall of Fame inductees. And they've put together 10 really cool gift baskets that have been displayed around town. We would like to thank Jill and Eric Lane. They have donated a Ride and Shine Spin Studio basket. Like to thank our LCC Board of Trustees and former Red Devil athlete Alice Dietz and our great supporter over the years, Marnie Harris, for putting together a board box charcuterie board and basket. Some great stuff there. Thank you to both. We'd also like to thank Joanna Asplund of JOJO+COCO right there in downtown Longview. She has sponsored the You Go Girl basket, and there's some great stuff on that. We'd also like to thank Jenny Isaacson, who donated a great golf basket, all kinds of great golf items and golf up at the Longview Country Club. Thanks to the club for allowing us to do this. We would like to thank Charlene Braack, who has put together a great men's basket with stuff from Bob's Sporting Goods. So thanks to Matt Schleck and all the great folks at Bob's, and of course Charlene. We appreciate it. We'd also like to thank Mike and Sally Getman, who have put together an essential car kit basket. A lot of great things in this basket that will make your ride look good. We'd also like to thank Jen Burns and Forest Stone and Sea. They will keep you centered with an outstanding Crystal Bliss basket. Thank you. We'd also like to thank a really cool basket that we got from The Shop. That's right there in downtown Longview, their newest barber right here in town. Thank you to The Shop. We'd also like to thank Dixie Colditz, another board member who has stepped up with these beautiful vases that she has provided, and that'll go along great from someone from our family, Kat Cooper, at the Dandelion, the Dapper Dandelion, her floral shop, and she does a great job. And we'd also like to thank the folks at the Halo Salon and Boutique in downtown Longview. They put a really great basket together as well. And finally, thanks to Joanna Asplund, who really coordinated all of this. Joanna, thank you so much for putting all the cool baskets together. We hope that you can get downtown to the various locations, or on your screen here, it's a way for you to check it out and put your bid in. Don't forget, the bids end on February 20th. And thank you. Hopefully we can raise a lot of money for our Athletics Excellence Fund.
Well, our Lower Columbia College Hall of Fame evening continues down. We've got another special inductee here, Jim Odell, going into the Hall of Fame. One of the all-time great hitters in the illustrious time of Lower Columbia College baseball. And Jim, it's great to have you in. It's a long time coming. I know we got you into the NWAC Hall of Fame, and just a couple of years ago, you were put into the Lewis and Clark State Hall of Fame. But hey, you saved the best for last, and hey, we really appreciate it. How you feeling these days?
It's a very exciting time being in the NWAC, still coaching in the NWAC and stuff like that, and going down to Lower Columbia a couple times a year and stuff. It just brings back all the good memories of how my baseball career actually started. It started at Lower Columbia. My high school team was not very good, and I ran into a really good coach, and Coach Carnahan, and he basically turned me into a good baseball player. So it's very exciting at Lower Columbia.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have Coach Carney with us, and we'll be bringing him in just a little bit. But I just wanted to share with the folks of how good Jim Odell was as a hitter here at LCC. Of course, he came here, and actually, Jimmy, you played basketball here at LCC, and I don't know how deep we want to get into that, but after Jimmy's 1 year of basketball here, he played for Coach Carnahan in the 79-80 Red Devil team, and you were an outstanding player on that bunch. And then the Mountain Blue, and you guys didn't get a chance to win the championship at your own ballpark. But then you stayed with it. The next year in 81, you guys won the NWAC championship, although I think rain shortened that thing up a little bit too.
Yeah, no, it was my first, when I wanted to play coming out of high school. You want to play basketball and baseball. You think you're all everything, and you want to do all that, and then you hurt your back in basketball from trying to dunk basketballs all the time. So then you can't go out in the field, and And so that kind of hurt my freshman season. And then I finally gave up basketball and took my seriously my sophomore season, and and it turned out very well for me. And talking about the mountain, my apartment, you could see I left to go home for the weekend, and I could see the top of Mount St. Helens out my window, and I had to come back the next weekend, and it's not there anymore. And yet we're still practicing. I have to hurry back because we're still practicing outside. There's 4 inches of ash on the ground, and Coach Carnahan has us out there taking BP. We all got masks on. This is the 1980. We all got our masks on. The ball is hit. You can't see it. It goes poof over there in the 4 inches of ash, and then you run over, grab it, and throw it back in. So that's how you learn. That's real toughness there when you're still practicing in 4 inches of volcanic ash.
Yeah, well, let's bring Coach Carnahan in. Carney, an interesting couple of years there in baseball, and of course you had just gotten things going, taken over for a legend in Ed Chef. Just talk a little bit about the just Jimmy Odell, those two teams, and just the great times back there.
I'd heard about Jim up at Shelton, and as he said, they weren't the strongest team, but I traveled up to Aberdeen to watch him play in a summer game, and impressed me with his athletic ability. He a bigger guy that could run, throw, and hit, and accumulated some skills. I think his first couple of years at Linfield or at Lower Columbia that helped him go on, and then really bloomed at LC State. Hitting for a lot more power than he probably did at LCC, but Jimmy was obviously a keystone and really good, probably the best team I had at Lower Columbia, the 1980 team that when the Mountain blew, I think we were 32-8 and on a roll, and the Mountain blows, and the tournament was supposed to be held. And I think Yakima, and at that time, Bill Fowler raised quite a stink because they couldn't practice with, the ash and stuff, even though we were doing it. They moved all the other NWAC stuff over to the Seattle area to play, and they wouldn't move the baseball. So we ended up ending that season at a pretty disappointing thing, which kind of gave us a little bit of a impetus to want to, repeat the season the next year. And then we got into the championship series and got a lead, and we were the, undefeated team, and it got rained out, and we ended up being declared the champion, although I think we were still the best team. Jimmy was just, he was one of the stellar players in that team, along with a host of others that went on and played four-year college baseball and also professionally.
Oh, some good players for sure. And Jim, I know right as all that was going on, I know Coach Carnahan and his father were working on getting the Storyfield bleachers all put together. Did you ever have to do some of the construction on that, you and your teammates?
I don't honestly remember working on the stands. I don't know if it was the next year or anything else, but I don't ever remember working on many other things that we did and stuff like that. We took care of that field, and it's always been one of the best. So it's it's a testament to all the good coaches. And when I went over to LCSC, it was the same thing. We worked on the field. You take care of the field. You make it your own. Rather than having somebody else come in and do it. Once you make it your own with the players, and then they really take care of it, and then they have pride in wanting to go out and play on that field. So,
well, Jim, you were talking about toughness. You had Carney out there. You guys are wearing masks, playing in the middle of a ash field out there. Carney, I guess you had no reservations about sending a guy like Jim Odell and Gary Ballmer over to play for Ed Chef. I'm sure you thought that they could handle that mental toughness.
Well, yeah, they were had great work ethic. I talked to Ed a lot about the team, and I think he recruited some other guys off that team as well. But did Ron Jones play with you?
Yes, there was a total of 6 of us off that team that went over there that year, and every one of them contributed at LCSC at some point. So yeah, Ron was actually my roommate over there when we first went over there. So.
Wow. So we had an outstanding group, and then also a couple of those guys went to Gonzaga, I think, and one went to UW, and so we had a very, very talented group of guys that played together, and it was one of the more enjoyable couple of years I've had in my 40 years of coaching.
Yeah, Jim, I know that you're going into the LCC Hall of Fame, and we take a lot of pride in your development here, but I can't imagine that anybody had a better season than you did your second year there at LC State. The Golden Spikes Award winner, National Player of the Year, and you still got to think back and go, how was I able to do anything like that? 427 batting average, 30 homers, 136 RBIs. And Cardi, you'd appreciate this one. He had 276 at-bats and struck out 7 times. I mean, that's epic. Jim, what can you say?
Was fun. It was definitely a year of, well, you got to think, though, the team batting average that year for our whole team was 394. So I was just barely above the team batting average.
Yeah.
So we had many players that were at a very high level at that time. And it was pretty easy. I would say the amount of times I came up that somebody wasn't on base was way, way smaller when people were on base. So, it's just, it was just a phenomenal year. We were tight. Everybody was tight and everything else, but, still got second place. So what are you going to do? I got 2 second place rings from LCSC. They're really nice.
Yeah. Well, we might have to get you a ring for your one here at LC. I know you're hoping to get one at Pierce.
Yeah,
for sure. Jim is coaching for that fine program right there. So it's great. Jim went on to a professional career, drafted in the 6th round by the Astros. So back in those days, you could actually turn teams down. I know the Dodgers drafted you. You turned that down, and a lot of you could go back into the pool, and there wasn't all that money that was out there, but. Yeah. You had 19 home runs for the Birmingham Barons, which was about 19 more than Michael Jordan had when he played for him.
No doubt. Yeah, I had that year. I had the 19 home runs for Birmingham. I was going to get called up to AAA, and everything was moving along just right. But their AAA team was in Hawaii, so they didn't want, the wind was blowing in from right field. This is the story I got anyway in the training room, is that the wind blows in from right field. We don't want any more left-handed hitters and stuff like that. So I got sent back down, but I got to play 5-6 years in professional baseball, traveling around and getting paid to do things that you really like to do. So, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
That's one of the great things about baseball, is the incredible memories that you have with your teammates, because as everyone knows, it's a grind. It's an incredible grind. And, I know it really started, here at LCC.
Yes, and I wrote down a thing in case Coach Carnahan was here, and I'm glad he's here to hear this story. But when I showed up in the fall, my first year, I was still a pitcher. I thought I was a basketball player. I was a pitcher. I was a position player. I could do it all. And none of it was very good, by the way, at the time. But the pitchers had to go on a run around the lake, right? And I was with this sophomore pitcher. I think his name was Andrews, and he was one of our starter sophomores. And he took me, and we cut across one of the early bridges. Rather than run them down to the 4th bridge, we cut across and we hid, and we came back, and we come back, and we think we really pulled one over on him. And he looks at me, Coach Carnahan looks at me, and he goes, "Just get out of my face." And he takes the sophomore off to the side and just reams him a new one. And he goes, "That is not how we do things at LCC. You're teaching that kid something other than what we're working on. This is how you make a bad program, is by teaching the freshmen coming in how to cheat." And that was the first thing that I learned there, was that, man, this is not how this program is run. And I still use it. I still tell the kids that I see at 6 a.m. every morning lifting weights, I tell them the story of that right there. And it just, you know, it hits me right here every time I think about it. It's just a true story. It had nothing to do with baseball, but it was how you act as a Red Devil, you know, and it was just so important.
Yeah. And that goes to today. Carney, I mean, Scott, I know you're really proud to be a part of the incredible legacy of coaching here. Jack Riley, Ed Sheff, yourself, Steve Farrington, Kelly Smith. Our guy right now is pretty good. Eric Lane, Eddie Smith had a good run here. Carney, I guess that's part of it, isn't it? Just accountability, and then guys like Jim Odell take it from there.
Well, I think there's there's really an expectation when you go into that program that you're going to shoot for excellence and have quality, have a quality program, and it's continued. I was recruited by out of high school by Jack Riley at Lower Columbia, and unfortunately I didn't go there. I went to Centralia after transferring from Linfield. I played a couple of years at Centralia Community College. And, Jack, and at that time, the basketball coach was Porter. And they recruited me to come there. And I really, kind of wished I would have played for them. After I got an opportunity to come and coach, the second time I interviewed, first time was a disappointment. I was the runner-up to Roger Clark. And then the second year, I can still remember Dr. Story asking me the question, how many years is it going to take you to win an NWAC championship? And I said, I'll do it within 3. The year before, when he asked that same question, I answered it differently. And I said, well, we're going to be competitive. And I didn't get the job. So the following year, I got the same question, and I said, we're going to do it within 3 years, and I got hired. So, but I think work ethic and, a foundation of, just knowing that if you're going to put the work in, the success will take care of itself. And that's kind of what happened with good players. You got to recruit, and going out and beating the bushes and finding, guys like Jim, who wasn't on a particularly good high school team, but was by far and away the best player on their team, and actually maybe one of the best players in that conference, even though he was not being exhibited that way because of the team he was playing on. It's finding those guys like a Gary Baumer, who I recruited out of a summer league, men's league, and just finding those guys. I don't know. You played with Mark Effrig too, didn't you?
I did.
And Mark Effrig, signed with. We had 3 first-round draft picks that one year: Sheldon Andrews, Mark Effrig, and Don Fenton, along with Jimmy and a bunch of others. Those were all the pitchers. Yep. And, Effrig was 27 years old and was playing City League baseball up in Tacoma. You just find those guys and put them together and have them work together. It all worked out very well.
Boy, it sure did. And I'll tell you what, the Hall of Fame was shut down for over a decade, and boy, we're playing catch up. So many great players. And of course, Carney, you're honored as a Hall of Famer and at Linfield, and Jim. I'm not gonna say the basketball, got you over the top getting in, but I did want to tell you. I want you to tell the story about when Gary Ernest used to have those Big Mac coupons on the back of the programs in basketball.
Wow, how did you know that, man? I lived on those things. That was, my mom and dad would come down and they'd buy 5 programs, man, and there was 5 Big Macs and a glass of water, and you survived that way. It was definitely something that I will always remember. Probably not the best diet in the world, because I also had $1 for a week of food, and I went and bought a head of lettuce too and ate that for a week too. So Big Macs are you know, it's college life when you're young and things like that. You can just survive on that stuff.
Especially when you have a McDonald's right in the middle of your campus right there. I mean, gosh,
Yep.
it's like 100 yards from the gymnasium there. So
that
Gary
was
always told me he had to always kind of hoard those things at the end of the game because you'd be looking for the extra ones that weren't sold. So
for sure.
Good stories. So many good stories. I wish we could talk all day long because, hey, with a career like yours, no shortage of stories. But Jim, such a great honor. And behind me right here, fellas, this is the championship trophy right here. I don't know, try to do that. There you are, still in our case. We've won a few of them since that time, but I'll tell you what, it was a great team, and you were a great player. And that's why it is my honor right now to bring this forward. We'll be sending that to you as the latest inductee into the Red Devils Hall of Fame. Jimmy, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It's quite an honor to be associated with that program where the whole community comes together and backs all the athletics and the academics and everything else. And it's a hard thing to find nowadays. So it's quite an honor, and I appreciate you even thinking about me that way. So thank you very much.
You bet, Jim. And of course, hopefully we're going to have Pierce at Story Field in a couple of months here, and whenever I go in and I see him, I go, the house that Jimmy Odell built. It was actually the house that Jimmy and Scott Carnahan and many others built, but we're awfully proud of you. Jim Odell into the LCC Hall of Fame. Well, our next Hall of Fame inductee here tonight, hark, it's Harold. It's Mark Harold, a former Red Devil basketball star from back in 1989 and 1990, and what a great run they had. Mark actually spent 3 years at Lower Columbia College. He had a redshirt year and then 2 outstanding years of basketball playing on the team. But Mark was a restless soul. If there was a sport to be had, he'd find it. He played soccer at Lower Columbia, ran cross country, and Mark, I know those are great times as you think back to your time at Lower Columbia College. Great to have you with us here tonight.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, what about those great times? First of all, talk about being involved in all those sports and what was that all about?
Well, the year I redshirted, I decided to turn out for goalie, but we were kind of short on players. I think we just brought the soccer team back to LCC, and I just wanted to stay active and work on my footwork and the hands being a goalie, but it seemed like I played pretty much every position at soccer because we were short-handed. So it's kind of a thing to stay in shape, and same thing my last year there, which was my second year playing basketball. I decided to run cross country. Coach Ernest brought it up and said, hey, what do you think about cross country when we run the lake, in training before the season starts? You do pretty good there. So what do you think about competing for LCC? And I thought, great idea, once again, get in shape and prepared for the season.
Well, you talked about Coach Gary Ernest, and he is with us on our program here tonight. And Coach, I know you had come back out of retirement as the head basketball coach, and you guys had a good 2-year run along with Jimmy Ray Roffler as your right-hand man right there. And boy, when you have a guy that gets 707 rebounds over 2 seasons, I guess you're going to have some success. It was pretty fun with Mark, wasn't it?
Oh, it was real fun. Thing about Mark was he was very, very dedicated. I mean, he would work out and do stuff, and like he said, he went out to soccer just to stay in shape and actually get in better shape. And so he was doing that. And then the 2 years that Mark played for me, great person to coach, would come every day ready to practice and would be ready for the ball games and give it all. during the games, and was a real winner.
Well, a winner indeed. Dave Andrews with us here. Of course, Dave's on our Hall of Fame committee and our assistant softball coach here at Lower Columbia. And Dave goes way back with Mark to his days at Mark Morris High School. And I guess that's where a lot of the winning started for Mark, right, Dave?
Yeah, and you know, Mark, I went to high school with a guy named Randy Sundberg, who Gary coached, and Randy was kind of what you'd call a late bloomer in high school. A JV player sophomore year, a little varsity his junior year, blossomed his senior year. Then he was great for Gary and after. I guess I'd kind of see you as the same way. Kind of, I recall, we know you kind of got that start in that big state tournament for Mark Morris in '87, played in '88, and kept developing. Kind of a late developer coming on under Gary at Lower Columbia. I'd just be curious your thoughts. A lot of athletes do that. Some bloom early, some a little later, and maybe you're kind of one of those later developing guys.
Yeah, I was thankful to know Leroy Nelson, and I actually got cut in the 7th grade for basketball, and Leroy Nelson took me underneath his wings and kind of like, you know, he was my trainer, kind of second father, and just the next day I got cut, you know, he just took me underneath his wings and practice. And then when I got to my sophomore year, they actually had a C squad, and I know some of the people that were friends with me, they went up on JV, and the coaching staff at Mark Morris talked to me about playing C squad. And I said, well, am I going to play all the time? They're like, pretty much. So I'm like, I was all for that, you know, hey, play all the time or kind of get chopped up minutes, you know, on the JV team. So that really helped out a lot. And then actually my sophomore year in high school, I played baseball, and I decided to step away from that during the season to go over to LCC, and Mike Pullis, we had open gyms over there, and I, you know, just played at different times over there with the college kids in open gyms, and he was very helpful too as well.
That's a great story. I don't know if I've ever heard that story about Leroy Nelson. Of course, Leroy, a Hall of Famer in his own right here at Lower Columbia College, and the star of our 54 championship team. And that's great. I mean, and a lot of times you need people in your corner to be able to develop like this. Coach Ernest, that first year, the development between Mark the first year and then his sophomore year, where you guys got all the way to the championship game, it was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, he came on strong offensively. He became dominant in the post area, and you could move him to the free throw line too, and most teams wouldn't guard him, and he could hit that jumper from the free throw line. And the thing, though, as I said about Mark, was he was always working to get better, and he never ever just came to practice. He came to learn and to get better, and he did. And then he went on and played a couple years at George Fox. So he really developed from the time he was in junior high until he got through college.
Mark, LCC got you prepared for Newburgh, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And we just got such great basketball coaches in this community and area, you know, in the Longview Kelso area. And my parents, you know, were able to send me to some good camps, and my parents had a lot to do with my success too, you know. And the good old Mark Morris, Dave Denny basketball camp. I mean, you can't go wrong there. And then hit another one or two besides that, you know, throughout the years, each season. And yeah, like I said, just very fortunate, you know, coaches like Lance Roberts was my 8th grade coach, and then he was the assistant for Gary at LCC. And then Steve McCallum, you know, Mark Morris, Dave Denny, AJ Fountain, the list goes on and on. Richard Butts in grade school, you know, I mean, we were in the title game in grade school. And funny story on that real quick is we played out there at Robert Gray. My mom dropped me off. I was so excited. I wanted to get there early. And my mom goes, I don't think they're open yet. Are you sure you got the right time? Well, it was kind of snowing out, and we ended up taking off. And then we found out they were just, you know, behind on opening up the doors. So long story short, I ended up getting back to the game, and it was the second half. and all my teammates were upset at me that I showed up for the second half of the game. We ended up taking second, but that was my 5th grade story there.
Oh, well, hey, these stories all develop as you go along. And Dave, Andrew, I know you remember the 91 Red Devil team that made it all the way to the state championship. You guys were down there in Salem at Chemeketa, and they had that incredible team. I mean, they didn't lose. They didn't lose that year, but you guys were right in there. You were hanging in. Dave, what do you remember about that 91 club that featured Mark?
Well, I mean, the first thing I remember is that's when Coach Roffler was coming back, and he and Gary, of course, Gary mentored Jimmy Roffler as well and got that going. And so that was fun. I'm guessing you enjoyed your time also. You talked about some great coaches you played for, Mark, Coach Roffler as well there. But then on top of that was just a team that overachieved. I mean, you had good players. I don't think anybody, if there would have been a Las Vegas line, on the NWAC title, probably would have had LCC in the final. Not that it wasn't a talented team, but you guys went down there. And if I recall right, you had to play Chemeketa in their gym. And, because it's always tough kind of being on the road for the championship. But that was just a team that persevered. And, you got to get the big aircraft carrier in the middle, and that helps.
Mark, what's your recollection of that team and that playoff run all the way to the title?
Yeah, it was something special. I knew we had, the players and this and that. And the thing is that Chemeketa team was just unbelievable. And, a great coach like Gary, we didn't really want to run with him. We wanted to kind of, do our style and, do things to get us through it. And we were down 4 at halftime, and then that team was just, 34-0. That's enough said.
Right.
But we were right with them at halftime. Then the second half, they just started, pulling away a little bit.
Some great players on that team: Rick Gardia, Rick Tripp, Jimmy Quinns. What about old Wes Armstrong coming out to run the point for you guys? Casey Winters, Derek Fiskus, Flick, Jay Short. That was a pretty fun bunch to be around, wasn't it, Mark?
Yeah, a lot of great times, good bus trips. Had a trip down to Tucson the second year, I believe it was, and then the first year was Hawaii. So a lot of great memories.
That's for sure. Well, Coach Ernest, final, I guess, congratulations that you can offer Mark and, pass it along to him right now. I know for years you've been a big proponent to get this big fella in the Hall of Fame, and certainly I know you're proud to be able to do so.
Well, certainly everything that he did for Lower Columbia, and the fact that he went on and got his 4-year degree and had 2 outstanding years at George Fox. He was a slam for being inducted in the Hall of Fame. It's just a matter of when, and with so many crazy things going on, you never know when we're going to be able to put people in. And as I started up the Hall of Fame, it's been a hit and miss kind of operation. The fact that we've been shut down and everything, and got back up. We haven't gotten people in that should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure that you'll come up with something innovative, and we'll move forward a little sooner now and then get people in there. But Mark, as far as basketball is concerned, he was the one that should not be held back any longer. He needs to be in there. One of the greatest basketball players that has ever played at Lower Columbia College, and I commend him for all his efforts and what he's done to make it into the Hall of Fame, and congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. Well appreciated.
Yeah, that's great. And you had 707 rebounds, as I mentioned, in your 2 years. Did you follow the pursuit of Samad Hector this last year? Samad got you 713 in his 2-year career. But I know you occasionally come to LC games. Did you follow that much, Mark?
From time to time, I was fortunate that it just worked out where I was there when he was chasing the rebound record, and it was kind of fun because I was up above in the VIP room with Gary Ernest, and they, I think we had a little timeout or something, and he looked up there, and we gave a little smile to one another, kind of like congratulations, and yeah, it was a special moment, and thankful for a nice guy like that to take over on the record. He, seems like a great guy, and I hear he's down at Sacramento State, I believe it is.
Yep, and he's doing a great job for sure. Dave Andrew, final comment for Mark?
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. Mark talked about coming to games, and of course, I'm at most of the games, and I've appreciated, Mark, that you're an alum that's supported the Red Devils over the years. I've seen you down there with children shooting at halftime, and you've embraced that and been behind the Devils. And you talk about with Samad, you may recall this. I think as Samad was getting close, a couple games before he broke it, he was warming up, and I happened to see you up there, and I kind of pointed out you to Samad. You guys kind of did this deal right here, and that's the first time he had seen you, and that was kind of fun to see that happen. I wholeheartedly with Gary. This is well deserved. Most people going in a Hall of Fame, it's overdue. It should have happened, but boy, local kid made good, and you've stuck around, and just congratulations, man. Really, really happy for you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. Well, Mark, right behind me is the second place trophy from back in the day. There you are, big fella, right next to Coach Ernest right there. And I know those are special deals for you. And because of the fact that you're a local kid who stayed local, thrived at Lower Columbia College, went on to a 4-year career at George Fox, then came back home. You've coached over the years, so you've given back. And now you're a super dad with your kids, passing along the love of basketball, and through it all, a great guy. And that is why it is my pleasure right here. This is your LCC Hall of Fame trophy. We're very proud. We wish we could be with you live, but of course, with the pandemic, we can't. But congratulations, Mark Harrell, you're in the Hall, the latest inductee in the Red Devil Hall of Fame.
You're here.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mark.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, please, folks, consider making a donation in honor of all of our inductees here tonight and our student athletes that'll be coming to Lower Columbia College. I mean, we've had to deal with a lot during this pandemic, but I'll tell you what, we're moving forward. Our teams are going to start playing on April 1st, no fooling, and at least we hope so. So stay safe out there. I would like to really thank Chris Bailey, Kendra Sprague, my boss Nolan Wheeler, and all of the great people. The administration at LCC has stepped up big time to be able to give us the tools so our athletes can get on campus and stay safe and continue their dreams of college athletics. So we hope to see you back at Michael Bus Gym in 2022 for our next inductee class. Congratulations to this year's inductees. We hope you had a great evening virtually. And don't forget, once a devil, always a devil. Have a great evening.